Okay, so first of all, I'll be talking about the basics of programming here, that what is basically a language and why we need it, and what is C, what is C++, and we have further higher languages also, but I'm not going to focus on that. So first of all, I will tell you about programming. What is programming basically? Now see, today computers are like everywhere and we are using computers to do every task. Now the thing is, first of all, computers are dumb. Okay, first of all, we have to consider this part very carefully, that computers are dumb because man created them. So what makes them so efficient? That's because of the retency. What kind of retency? Basically the memory factor. If computers do not have memory, if computers do not have memory, then they are as good as a normal dumb person. Like we can equate a computer with an animal. So that's what makes the difference. An animal is much stronger than us, but only thing it lacks is the memory factor. So same goes for the computer. And day by day, the capacity of a computer system is increasing. And why we need more and more capacity, that is hard disk, in terms of hard disk, but why we need more and more hard drive? Because we need more memory to save more data, and the processing part is done by the computer. And how it is done and all, it's all different concepts. I will just be focusing on the abstract topics, like how it works from the inside, but how it works from inside, but I'm not focused on that part, that how it actually works. So we want to know how a fundamental working of computer system is, in terms of how if we want to communicate with the computer system. Here, that's where the concepts of programming languages comes. So what is a programming language? First of all, we know that even if you don't know, the binary language, that's the most primitive language. Okay, before binary language we had abacus, you know, that beads on the sticks, and we use them for counting. So binary language was introduced, I don't know by whom, but it was pretty damn good, because binary language decided on two things. What were this? There were true and false, and for every false value we had 0, and for every true we had 1. So a binary, that makes it binary. Bi means 2. So binary language is associated with two values, that is 0 and 1. And binary language is the simplest language of all. So every language which with which a system can communicate, with which a machine can communicate, can be broken into binary sequence. And binary sequence is like 0 1 1 1 0 0 1 1 1, like that. And we can translate it for in higher languages. And what is higher language? Higher language, or higher level language, or high level language, whatever you can call them. High level language is the language which we speak to communicate. Computers cannot speak high level language, they speak low level language. So that's where the programming comes. So every high level language should be converted to low level language so that a computer can understand it. And that's how it's going to act. And what is high level language in our case? It's C++. If you are familiar with C++, you know that how its syntax is. There are many other programming languages which have syntax which is very much convenient than C++. C++ is not having that much straightforward syntax. Like I will give you an example about SQL. It is for database. So in case of databases, the language, it's not a programming language. You can say that it's a data extraction or data implementation, data manipulation, whatever kind of language, and it is very straightforward. Like if we have a table is used to store information, like you have tables for attendance registers and all. So a table is, say I have a table of employee, and if I want to create a table of employee, I just write create table employee, and then I assign the values for columns and rows and its associated data type. I will talk about data type later. So just concentrate on what I am trying to say. You can see how simple and easy and how convenient this language is. It is create table and name of table. That's it. So C++ is not that much straightforward, and it is not that much complex. So it's like sort of in between, but it is easy to understand. Believe me, it's very easy. So So I will tell you what it's about. So first of all, we have low level language, then we have high level language. We have a medium level language also, but I'm not want to discuss it. Basically, it is binary, and in our case, it's C++. So a C++ program which we code using different platforms. So this code is gonna transferred to the computer into a another format when after compilation, and after compilation that code is translated into low level language by the compiler, and compiler understands the high level language because it acts as a intermediate between both of them, and this low level language is then understood by the computer to act accordingly what we want in the program. So that's how the programming works. So I will talk about some basic things about programming. First of all, I will talk about data type. Before talking about data type, we should know what the data is. So mostly it's like, everyone mind is like collection of facts and figures. Yeah, it is actually that thing, but data type is not exactly collection of facts and figure. It is just facts and figures. I mean, collection, if we say collection of facts and figures, then we are giving a attribute to it, like we are defining it how it is going to be. So we cannot say like it is collection of facts and figures. We should say that it is a mass of facts and figures, like it doesn't have any value. We cannot explain data to anyone, that if we are just given, we cannot explain it. For example, if I have a, say I have a bundle of what, and we have data in it like 1 3 a ram, and say any other Lucifer, and we even have etc. Now if I give this bundle to anyone, that person is not able to recognize what this means. So for that, data type and data is associated. So why we need data type? We need data type to tell what kind of data is actually present in the program. For example, if I have an integer, for example here 1, and if I have an integer, then I have to specify that what this stands for. So this could be an integer. Yep, this is an integer. We have other data types also which we can use to show this as. For example, if I want to simulate a boolean case, what is boolean? We will talk about that. Just forget it. Okay. So 1. So we have to tell that this 1 is associated with an integer. Is an integer. It's not associated with integer. So it is an integer. So we cannot write int 1. It has no sense, obviously. So what we do, we have to we have to declare a data type. Declare a variable and assign that variable to a data type if you want to tell what that data type is assigned to. For example, if I have a, now a is a variable here. What is a variable? For mathematics, variable is something which does not have a fixed value, and it can have any value. For example, I say int a and I say 1. Then what this means? This is a declaration. What is this? Declaration. Mind the spelling. Okay. Declaration is, we will talk about declaration in detail later. Just have a focus on concept here. So declaration means int a is a declaration. So I am telling the computer, or using C++, that this a variable is an integer, and this integer, which is a, is having a value 1. This is what I am trying to say. So how this actually works is like, now you can, I was talking about memory, so this is why it is important to talk about memory. Now when I declared a variable and assigned it to a value, then this must have some memory. Then only we can access this value whenever we need it. That's why we need a memory, and for that memory we have addresses. So using computers, and that's all detailed, we don't have to go that much. Okay, leave it. So basically here the thing is, what is data type? You got it. Data type is basically what kind of data we are going to use in the program. For example, I said integer a, int a. That means this a variable is an integer and its value is assigned to 1. Same case if I say char a is equal to capital A, then this a variable, here a is a variable, it's not a character, okay, and char stands for character. So character, a variable a is a character and its value is assigned to a. So integer is minus infinity to infinity, okay. Sorry, it does not have limit from minus infinity to infinity. I will talk about limit later. Just consider, for example, I have 64 and minus 64. Then I can say that this is an integer. So if I say int a, then I can assign this to minus 64. But I cannot assign this int a as character. After we can assign after assigning this. Then if we do this, like if we say int a minus 64, then int a character a, then this will get deallocated. Basically, when we store memory for this a variable as integer and then we again redeclared it like that, then this has no value. This has no meaning then. Then finally a will have this value. Okay. So what kind of data types we have? We have basically three cases of data types. First is fundamental data type. Fundamental data type. So fundamental data type, we have basically I think 4 types of fundamental data types. These are integer, then we have characters, then we have float, and I think these are only the fundamental type. Okay, so what is integer? I already discussed what is integer. So integer is basically to define the integer values, that are the state values. We cannot show values like 1.314 using integer variable data type. Character data types provide us a way to access alphabets, basically, like from small a to z and capital A to z. So we have to access these also. Like for example, if in a program I want to print hello world, it's the most primitive program ever, don't go for it. Say I want to print a hi C++, then hi C++, this complete, as a complete, it is a collection of what? It is a collection of what? Yes, it is collection of characters. A collection of characters is called string. So hi C++ is a string, and if you want to print this onto the console, what is console? That black window when it comes, when we type cmd on the window button. When we type cmd, a black window opens, another black window opens, and that is called command prompt. Like for command prompt, that is called console window. So if you want to print something on console window, we use character. We have to use character. Every output of C++ is printed on console. Okay, that's how it communicates with us, using console window. So this collection of character is a string. So this string, if you have to declare each character, then we need char. Okay, so what is float now? Fundamental data type. Float, for example, we can assign values like 7, 9, -9, -19. What if the value is -19.3? We cannot use int. Can we? No. We cannot say like int a is equal to -19.5. This is not valid. There will be a compilation error if we compile this value. If we compile a program having this statement, it will not compile by itself. Okay. So in that case, we use float. So what if float provides? Float basically allow us to give more flexibility in printing the program, in printing the results. So it extends our control of the program from integer to floating numbers. For example, I want to print 3.14. That's the pi. Yep. 27. So if I want to print this value, then I will say float pi is equal to 3.14. Okay, in that case, OAT. This is called declaration. And if I just say float pi and I say apply a semicolon, this is called, okay, it is data definition. We are defining the data, what kind of data it is, and here we are declaring the data after defining it. Here both of work is done together. For example, if we define data, then this is float pi. If we have to define, and then we can say pi is equal to 3.14, it is correct because this pi is already declared here. So compiler, when compiling the program, knows that okay, this pi is float on the above, from the above statement. So if we but this can be combined like that, float pi is equal to 3.414. Here it is data declaration. Here it is also takes more space, so we don't go for that. We mostly use this. Okay, so this is about the discuss about the data type modifiers. Okay, so what is data type modifiers? Basically, I will discuss about data type modifiers. Data type modifiers. Now, sometimes we have to increase our limit. So I will tell you why, for example, we have two kinds of operating system. Now what is operating system? Our Windows. Okay, this is our operating system. Now Windows exist, or our operating system exists in usually in two formats, that is 32 bits and 64 bits. Yep, you all know that. Now what's the difference between 32 bits and 64 bits? Why this is considered better and this is not considered better? Again, memory factor. Now when 64 bits, when we have a processor of 64 bits like i3 or i5, i7, all are 64 bits, then the address, what is address? Address space, I will tell you what is address space. Address space is basically the length, maximum length an address can have. Now you will be confused, what is address? Well, I just told you when we declare a variable int42, then we need a memory to store this value, right? So that we can access it later. For example, I am making a program about area of rectangle, and I declared a variable length, breadth and area, and I know I am going to assign length into breadth as area. So before multiplying this, I have to store this value somewhere, right? For that we have address. An address is associated to the computer memory. It can be hard drive on its secondary memory, which is hard disk, and it can be in its primary memory. For example, in RAM or ROM. I'm not going to be in detail of these things. It's in the other operating system. Okay, other subject. So okay, so if we have a system of 64 bits, then the limit of our address bus or address space is 2 power 64. This is hell of a memory. Just consider 2 into 2 up to 64 times. This much address can be used to store. Basically this amount of memory can be stored. Now consider case of integers. Now integers, if we have 2 to the power 6 minus 2 to the power 64 address space, then we can divide it into two parts. 2 to the power 32, which will have all negative numbers including 0, okay, and 2 to the power 32 all positive numbers. So this will restrict our values. For example, what if we want a number which is greater than 2 to the power 32? We cannot access it, right? If we have a number which is greater than 2 to the power 32 and it is a positive, I told you if we have 64-bit system, then we cannot go beyond 2 to the power 32 in case of positive integers, because 2 to the power 32 other integers are stored for negative numbers and 0. So what if we want something which is greater than 2 to the power 32? Then we use type define modifiers which will modify the address space. For example, if we have, for that we use unsigned. Okay, if we say unsigned 2134, okay, then this, what this will do, this will tell compiler unsigned int, I think. I'm not sure of it. Just make sure from internet if it is unsigned a or unsigned int a. Okay, I'm confused. Okay, to the point. So if we have a variable a declared in the program and we say that it is unsigned, basically it does not have any sign. What does that mean? That it does not have minus. Minus is a sign. If it is, if I said normal int a minus 3, this minus tells that it is a negative number, but telling that it is unsigned a made sure that it is a positive number. And this unsigned is a type defined modifier. What is unsigned? A type defined modifier. So what this did, what this so this unsigned type defined modifier basically increased our limit of what? Of the integer. Previously, for all positive numbers, the limit was 2 to the power 32, right? Because other 2 to the power 32 was saved as for negative numbers. Now if I told the compiler that my number is unsigned, basically it's not going to be negative at any time. It's not going to be negative. It is positive. It is fixed that it's going to be positive, right? So if we want it to be positive, we gave it that it is unsigned. Now it is unsigned, so compiler knows. So compiler is not going to look if it is negative or not. So it is sure. So our limit of the integer gets increased by 2 to the power 64. So all positive numbers including 0 can be stored from 0 to 2 to the power 64. This is the limit of our integer now, higher limit. So higher valued numbers can be stored now. That's what the unsigned type defined modifier did. Okay, so I'll be discussing about type defined modifiers in detail now. So here I have wrote all kind of type defined modifiers. These are signed, unsigned, short and long. Okay, and I have written a website here, c++.com. It is the best website if you want to learn C++ in depth, because other websites are not giving proper proper definition and proper information about the programming. It basically it compels you to think in the way of a programmer, not like to just grasp and vomit on the exams. So if you want to know about programming in depth in a better way, then you should opt this c++.com. So this is a good website. And also if you want, and Sumit Arora's best book for all these, even for any programming, any starter, any person who is starting programming, is starting to learn programming, Sumit Arora is best book, because it's very primitive in nature and you can learn it from you can learn a lot from it if you follow it properly. Okay, so I'll be discussing about signed type defined modifier, unsigned type defined modifier, short and long. So I have already discussed about unsigned type defined modifier. For example, if we have an integer a is equal to, it is a very large number 23334, and we know that 2 to the power 32, maybe it lies before this, I don't know, I'm not for sure, because I am not going to calculate this number. So let's consider on the concept here. Okay, I have made many mistakes, I know, but I am not focused on that. I'm just trying to tell you how things work basically. Okay, for example, we have this, and I have a number which is greater than 2 to the power 32. Then what will happen? Consider this, like if we have unsigned number int a, then the compiler knows that this integer a is never going to be negative. And we have already discussed that if a variable a is integer, then this a, depending on its further declaration, if it is negative or positive, it will get 2 to the power 32 space only, irrespective if it is positive or negative. But telling that it is unsigned, basically telling that it is positive, the whole space means whole memory gets shift by 2 to the power 32 towards the positive numbers. Therefore the limit is